Hi students, in the previous class we have discussed about the terms relative, motion, rest, distance and displacement. We just recall what we have learned in the previous class. First of all, motion. What is meant by motion? The change of position of a body with the continuous change with the time is called motion. Then what is meant by rest? Then there is no change of position of a body with respect to the time, then the body is said to be at rest. And one more term we have discussed about distance. What is meant by distance? The total path covered by a body in a given interval of time is called as a distance. The straight line distance is called as a displacement, or the shortest distance between 2 points and the starting point and the end point is called as a displacement. A distance having only magnitude, but there is no direction, that is why the distance is considered as a scalar quantity, whereas displacement having both magnitude and as well as direction, that is why displacement is called as a vector quantity. And the both distance and displacement both are having the same units. In CGS system they have measured in terms centimeters, in whereas SA system they measured in meters. Students, in this topic today we are going to discuss about the two terms speed and velocity. So, before going to learn about the speed and velocity, we need to do a small activity. Is there? Students, we know there are in our railway system there are number of trains are present. Is one of the known train in our Telugu states is Vishakha Express. There is also one film is also present on Vishakha Express. Now, a Vishakha Express will start from Vishakhapatnam and it reaches to the Hyderabad is there. In the morning 5 o'clock it starts at Vishakhapatnam and evening 5 o'clock it reaches to Hyderabad through Vijayawada. The entire journey it travels from Vishakhapatnam to Vijayawada and Vijayawada to Hyderabad. The total path it has been covered, that means the distance between Vishakhapatnam to Hyderabad is 720 kilometers. The time taken to reach from Vishakhapatnam to Hyderabad is 5 AM to 5 PM, that is nearly 12 hours are there. So, by using of these time and the distance, we can easily calculate how much distance it has been covered for 1 hour is there. Yes or no? We can calculate, that means 720 kilometers by 12 hours are there. So, it is nothing but we will get that is equal to 60 kilometers per hour. That means, we can say for every hour it can be travels exactly 60 kilometers? No, obviously we can say no. In some stations it may comes to halt for 1 minute or 2 minutes are there. That means the train does not cover equally in every hour to 60 hours is there. Then how we can calculate? We can calculate the speed of that means speed means how fast does the train has been travelled from Vishakhapatnam to Vijayawada, that means Hyderabad, by calculating as a average speed is there. Now, we can calculate average speed is equal to total distance by time. Now, we will draw a displacement vector from Vishakhapatnam to Hyderabad is there. Student, we know displacement means the shortest distance or the straight line distance between 2 points, that means a starting point and end point. So, this is a displacement vector between Vishakhapatnam and Hyderabad is there. The displacement vector, that means this path covers only 360 kilometers and the time taken is also as well as 12 hours is there. That based on these two we can easily calculate average velocity is there. Average velocity is nothing but total displacement by time. That means 360 kilometers by 12 hours, which gives us 30 kilometer per hour is there. Students, here we can observe The speed which is gives how fast does the object is moving from one place to another place. Based upon the average speed we can calculate, we come to know an idea whether the object is moving slow or fast or moderate is there. How we can calculate the average speed? Average speed is calculated by using of a formula total distance by time. We can calculate the average velocity is also is there, total displacement by time. Now, we are going to define the term speed. Speed is defined as the distance covered in a unit time is called as a speed. The distance covered in a unit time is called as a speed. Or one more, in other way also we can express the speed. The speed is defined as the rate of distance is called as a speed. Here rate means which related to the time. So, the distance by time will give us a speed and the displacement by time will give us a velocity is there. Students, velocity directly gives, that means in which direction that the speed is going. Velocity indicates in which direction does the speed is going on. This is the relationship between the speed and velocity, whereas speed is a scalar quantity, but the velocity having that is equal to vector quantity is there. Vector quantity means which is having both magnitude and direction is there. Some body, if a body which is having speed, no need of having velocity is there, but a body which is having velocity, it must consist of speed is also involved in that. In what direction does the speed is giving? That means the velocity is gives the direction of the speed is there. Now, a body is moving in this path, you can draw a tangent at any point, that tangent will give the vector, that means velocity vector is there. Students, this is about the speed and velocity is there. Now, what are the units of the speed and velocity is there? Student, the units we can measure. See, in CGS system, the distance is measured in centimeter and the time should be measured in terms of a second. In MKS system, students, the distance is measured in terms of a meters and the time should be same in seconds is there. The units for both speed and velocity having the same units are there. So, I would like to introduce here one more small topic here. You are moving on a activa is there. You are moving on a activa. At particular instant of time, have you said what is your speed? At the particular instant of time, we can find the speed of a vehicle. Students, in the traffic, there is, you can see the traffic police will identify how speed you are going in particular interval of a time by using of a speed gun. Or in the vehicle is also we are having one speedometer is then, that speedometer gives 60 km per hour, 30 km per hour, or sometimes it may increases 120 km per hour. The speedometer will gives a information about is called as a instantaneous velocity. The velocity at one particular time is called as a instantaneous velocity. For example, for this we have to see, draw a graph between the time and the distance. We are drawing a graph between the time and distance. This is x axis and this is called as a y axis is there. These x axis we are taking as a time and in y axis we are taking as a distance. Why we are taking time on x axis, distance on y axis? We can see in this we are having dependent quantity and independent quantity. Students, the distance always depends upon the time. If time increases, distance increases. If time decreases, distance decreases. That is why the time is a independent quantity, whereas distance is a dependent quantity. The independent quantity always we have to take on x axis, whereas a dependent quantity we have to take on y axis is there. Now, draw a graph on what time you are traveling with the distance. I said I am going to in this direction, I draw on this. Now, identify particular distance in particular time. That means, at t1 seconds the body is at here, that means the distance is s1, and the t2 time the body is at here and the distance covered is s2. Now, I would like to measure what is the average speed of the vehicle in between the T1 and T2. In between the T1 and T2, the body has been covered in this direction, that means this portion. This portion is nothing but S2 minus S1. That means average speed is equal to S2 minus S1 by T2 minus T1. If the T2 minus T1 is nothing but considered as a change in time, it is called as a delta T. Delta symbol indicates the change in time. If the change in time is going to very least, whenever the T2 minus T1 will gives a value is very minimum, that means not equal to 0, but at least equal to 1, at what distance does it covered by an object, that is called as a instantaneous speed. That means, students, you can see here the speedometer will give the information always how the body is moving, that means its instantaneous speed. While we are on the Activa or on bike, while we are observing, in sometimes the speedometer reading will give say 30 km per hour, or sometimes it will give us a 60 km per hour. That means, on particular time, what time you are seeing the speedometer, on that particular time it gives the information about the speed of that vehicle. But we have to measure what is the average speed. Average speed is nothing but total distance covered by an object by total time has been taken. Student, this is nothing but about the instantaneous speed is different from average speed. Sometimes instantaneous speed is very high, but average speed may become slow. In sometimes instantaneous speed is low and average speed must be great. Based on this activity, we can conclude what is meant by speed and what is meant by velocity. Speed is defined as the rate of distance is nothing but called as a speed, and velocity is defined, the rate of displacement is called as a velocity. Both speed and velocity having the same units, whereas velocity is a vector quantity, speed is a scalar quantity is there. The speed is a scalar quantity which is having only magnitude, whereas velocity having vector quantity both magnitude and direction. The velocity is always gives the direction of the motion of the object, that means it gives in which direction that the body is moving. So, we can indicate with a tangent is there here. If the body is moving in a curved path, you can observe a tangent drawn from any port of a curve, it gives the direction of a velocity is there. For example, if you can see a body which is moving in a circular path, that means this is the circular. You can draw a tangent at any point, that means at tangent direction we can observe the velocity is there. So, velocity is a vector quantity, whereas speed is a scalar quantity. So, now we have discussed about the speed, velocity, average speed and average velocity, and instantaneous velocity, instantaneous speed, and also what is the direction of velocity is there. Once again I will repeat what is meant by speed. Speed is defined as the rate of distance, and what is meant by velocity? Velocity is nothing but rate of displacement. Students, speed does not becomes 0, whereas velocity will becomes 0. And next one, what is meant by average speed? Average speed is calculated by the total distance travelled by an object in total time. That means total distance by total time, and the average velocity is equal to total displacement by total time is. Instantaneous speed is nothing but at particular interval of a time, that means at particular time when the what is the speed of object, that speed is called as a instantaneous speed. We can see the persons who are running in a straight line track, then they have velocity. The person who is running without having of any track, they have speed is there. So, this is about your speed and velocity.